Gentlemen, welcome to Off Track. Welcome to the Mullsdale Foundation Museum up in Glasgow.
Thank you,
James
Dave.
Toseland, twice World Superbike champion. James Holland from the Bike Specialist in Sheffield. Boys, it's great to see you up here.
It is, yeah. Well, I can't believe they've invited two people up from Sheffield.
I know.
You know.
Two Jameses.
Yeah. I didn't know what was kind of like was to come in this trip, but it's been quite phenomenal, hasn't it?
It's been an amazing experience. It really has.
I mean,
Great fun as well.
The car that we've come up in.
Yeah, the Maybach.
Maybach car.
You travelled in style to get yourselves up here.
Completely straight as well. It was like first class in a plane. That's what it felt like.
That's
really did.
An amazing experience. And the reason we're here with the hand spray 10 car to Honda that you won the 2007 World Superbike Championship on is going to find its new home in the museum at Bishopbriggs, just outside of Glasgow. And it's a beautiful handover to the museum, becomes a custodian of the bike. So the public can come and see it. They can pay the respects to the bike. You know it's in a great home for the foreseeable future. How does it feel now to be as handing over the bike that you won the 2007 World Superbike title on?
Until you do walk into this place, you don't realise what a collection that it's got. And then literally talking to David yesterday, obviously, who's started all of this incredible place, and talking us through the bikes, it's in good place. The bike is going to be amongst some amazing history, amazing stories, amazing championship achievements as well. And she's going to be happy for sure.
We've seen a few of the bikes, and the ladies and gentlemen can see them in the background. From the audio point of view, it's a bit more difficult for the listeners to picture where we are. But from the video point of view, that there's such a range of motorcycles here. There's race motorcycles from Hizzy. There's a great selection of Ducatis and Aprilias and Hondas, and David Mullsdale, who, as you say, inspired the collection, has put together something really incredible. And to bring in the Tenkate Honda just enhances that tenfold.
Massively. And you hit the nail on the head. It's just so nice for the bike to actually be here and people see it and get the enjoyment from it as well. And obviously for you to do the handover and for it to be in here, it must be a massive thing for you, you know, seeing all people's face, look at the bike, because you've had it in your lounge for so long. And so it's literally gone from track straight into your lounge and then to here to be displayed, which is just awesome. Yeah,
I take it for granted a little bit because my piano's in there that John Jones of HM Plant got us on that memorable day in Germany, in Oschersleben in 2003. And the bike was just at the side of it, at the side of the room. And she's always been there when I've been playing to insight. But I've not been able to remember what we did together in that year. And coming up here, I didn't realise, but she was the last girl I ever won on. I didn't realise that.
Wow.
Obviously, I went to MotoGP in 08 and 09 and then came back to Superbikes. I had a couple of podiums on the Yamaha R1, but it was the last ever race win victory I had, and it was at Brands Hatch as well, that double. And until she's come up here and she's amongst all of these other amazing vehicles, I've just remembered just what history we've had together. And I know I'm pleased because by doing this, by her being here, people remember the joy, especially like at Brands that weekend with 126,000 people, and people still talk about that weekend. And it is the greatest weekend of my life. And if I was a kid and someone said to me, okay, your career's going to get ended early with an injury, how do you want to go out? Double at Brands in front of 126,000 people. Yeah. And I'll play the national anthem as well, if that's all right, with chuck a bit of piano in. That's what it was, and that's what this bike holds in its stories. And I'm pleased because when she's here, people will see her. Like I've just seen John Reynolds' Ducati walking in. John Reynolds was a legend of when I was growing up in BSB, and I was battling with him when I was a youngster, and in all of those greats, now Mackenzie and all of them. People are going to be looking at the bike and remembering, especially the Brands Hatch weekend, and talking about it. And I think it's just doing it justice rather than being at the side of my piano in my dining room.
She's iconic.
Very iconic.
She's iconic from the World Superbike
and the
Championship.
other thing as well with these race bikes, a lot of things get stripped and sold, etc. The thing with this bike is it's literally come from the track into your lounge as it was raced straight into the collection. which is the mad thing about that bike. So like I said, a lot of these race bikes are not what people think they are, and this one is. Yeah.
Well, the only thing that's not true on the
Right.
bike
Okay.
is the number, because
I noticed that.
Yeah.
gave it me as a present at the end of the championship. But they put number ones on for me to celebrate the championship win. But they also, in my back pocket, gave me the 52s.
Excellent. So they're still there. That's
David
good.
has them as well. So
Excellent.
if he wants it really unit as it was, then he can put the 52s
I
back.
remember chatting to Mark Lloyd about the bikes, and he put together Joey's 2000 TT winning bike, but it was Aaron Slight's engine. It was a bit of this, it was a bit of that, and then people beyond that have said, "Oh, that's Joey's TT winning bike." Mark's like, "Absolutely, it's not, because that went back to World Superbike. That's gone there, and that's done that. But this is a bona fide World Superbike winning machine." James, take me back to the start of that season. Second year with Tenkate Honda, going in from 2006 to 2007. What were your expectations ahead of that season?
Well, I just finished second to Troy Bayliss in 06. And it was a really difficult job battling against Troy Bayliss. Biaggi was in the championship as well in 06, and Biaggi, Haga, Corsa, it got some depth of field, and I'd ridden against Troy Bayliss for 6 years at that point, and all I ever did in my career was try to develop my skills as a racing motorcycle rider to try and be as fast as Troy Bayliss. He was the benchmark, and every weekend when he came past, I took every opportunity to try and tag on, and every single corner and every single braking and every single turning and acceleration, I just tried to nab everything what he was doing and try to teach myself how to do it. And in 2006, in 2005, I got sacked from Ducati, and that stung. I finished fourth in the championship the year before. I got the number one on the bike because I won the championship in 04, and then in 5, I finished fourth. I nearly got third in the last round, but fourth is not good enough for Ducati. Out you go. And my only other option was Tenkate, and Tenkate had just started in Superbikes because Christopher Mullen rode for them in 04. So it was an early days in their project of riding in Superbikes. And the Fireblade was it was a bit basic compared to the factory Ducatis at those times, because the rules had just changed in 06 that 4-cylinder 1000ccs were entered. And I remember the Suzuki that came out with Troy Corsa, blitzed everybody, the Corona Suzuki. One reason why I finished fourth that year was that Suzuki. But I finished second, and Troy Bayliss went to Valencia at the end of the year to do a one-off race as a replacement rider in MotoGP, and won the race. And I thought through the winter time, I'm really finding it difficult to beat Troy Bayliss. But when he did that, I was like, hang on a second, I'm 25 years old, and I'm now nearly at the level where I can beat the greatest in the world. If he can do that, I'm doing really well. I just need to keep on this path. But the problem with second place is there's only one other position to gain as far as the challenge goes, and that's to be the champion. But Troy was in it against still, and Biaggi and Arga and of course and all the rest of them. And but fortunately for me, 07, the championship started off at Phillip Island, one of my favourite tracks. Then the next track was Qatar, and 2 fast flowing circuits, because with no traction control, with no anti-wheelie, and Tenkate's 350 million brake horsepower, wherever I opened that throttle, the thing aimed and went. And like,
what kind of brake horsepower are we talking?
Oh, they'll never tell you. They never told me, because you wouldn't want to know. Because as you cock your leg over.
A wild guess, 210?
No, I'd say you were more 220.
220, right, wow. It must be an animal to ride.
With no aids.
Yeah.
With no aids, it was...
Do you feel like you were fighting with it, or do you just mould into the bike, or...?
Honestly, there's not a year where I was so proud of the way I was riding, because you try and handle 220 brake horsepower-ish. I'm probly wrong on Garrett Tenkate up the right smile, right at 220.
If that's what you feel, that's all right.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what they say after this. But it was a handful. when the Pirelli tyres used to go downhill after 4 or 5 laps, as they always did, because they were great grip, dropped, and then you had to hang on for the rest of the 18 laps, and you had to ride a different way. And every time you just tapped the throttle on the Tenkate bike, it broke the traction straight away, everywhere. So, and I can't stress just how tiring it is on every single tap of the throttle, on every single corner for 35, 40 minutes. And you've got to figure out to try and find the grip with that and with your bum cheeks. You're panting.
But your fitness has always been good. I mean,
It had to
you
be.
spent 8 years, didn't you, in the Isle of Man? You're very focused, you know, training, you eat right and everything else.
Well, you've been to the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
There's nothing else but the gym. So that's why I was so fit. I went from my bedroom to the gym, to lunch, to the gym, to bed for 8 years.
Rumour has it the Bee Gees are still number one.
There's a reason why they were so good as well.
Exactly.
They practiced 15 hours a day.
Apologies to our Manxy friends.
You never had a road bike, did you, in the Isle of Man?
No, that started ages.
Because everyone had thinks, I bet he's out practicing all the time.
No.
But no, it's not that case. But obviously, racing a lot.
Oh yeah,
So there's
25
probably no
years
need
ago,
to.
I was teammates to John McGuinness.
Right. John's
And,
great guy. Yeah.
And I followed him. I followed him on the open roads. Luckily, it was the open roads, not the closed roads, and that was more than enough to kind of have an idea of what a thrill it was around the TT. But yeah, the Isle of Man, a beautiful place to live. If you're a biker, it's just heaven, because every cafe that I walked into, it's like, hey up James, you all right, mate? Oh, great race at the weekend.
Yeah.
Everybody's into their bikes, everybody's into their racing. But it's probably like being a footballer.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you go back over much, or?
I haven't done for a few years, but I definitely will,
Yeah.
because 8 years there, it was.
I'm over soon in August for the TT Classics. We've got a bike entry in there, so super looking forward to it. And I love the island. You know, it's great.
Yeah.
And just like how everyone's just passionate for the bikes over there as well. And, you know,
It's the ultimate challenge
Yeah.
for man and machine. Like trying to go around I think it's 37 3/4 miles now. It used to be a quarter, didn't it, years ago, but I think it's extended a little bit. But if you ever ride around that track at pace, you'll realise why all those guys
You
want to
followed John McGuinness round, didn't you?
Yeah. 25 years ago, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was that like, following him round?
I still wake up in a sweat sometimes. You know, when you lose the front, if you're a rider, sometimes you have a dream where you lose the front all of a sudden, or your high side all of a sudden, and you smack your girlfriend in the face, like, you know, just in like.
Whereas normal people trip over a curve.
Especially when you go into like a blind corner and it's just, and you've got it pinned, it's mad.
It's horrible. Yeah.
Horrible.
It's horrible.
What were those days like with John McGuinness and riding for Birdie back in 2000?
Well, do you know what?
Let's go back a little bit.
I know,
Let's throw it back a little bit while we're
25
talking
years
about
ago, I was 19 years old. Birdie would have been about 26. He was motivated, hungry. He'd just won the 250 title with McGuinness. And he was wanting to venture into the world of superbikes. And SP1, the Honda SP1 was just coming out. And we didn't get the bike, unfortunately, until a couple of weeks before the season started. So I had to do all the winter training on a 500cc twin that he had, the two-stroke thing. So that was a bit hairy. He said it was going to be something like a twin like the SP1, but it wasn't. Nothing like.
No.
But it was. I didn't realise until now, hindsight's a great thing, that I was starting such a legacy off on the most successful British Superbike team and team manager to date. And I was very, very proud to have done that. I only rode for half a season, unfortunately, because I had a massive crash at Cadwell Park and I had a massive spiral fracture to my right femur, and my leg was under my head when I landed, and it was a mess. And the helicopter, I had to have my leg straightened to get me into the helicopter. And that was an afternoon. But before that, I had a race at Alton Park, my last ever British Superbike race, Alton Park, and I chased Nan Mackenzie around on the Ducati, the GSE Ducati. He was Hodgson's teammate at that time, and it was the weekend where Hodgson went from last to first, embarrassingly. I was a part of that race, and I was one of the people he overtook, joining it on his, you know.
I mean, the list, it was an
journey.
illustrious list of the people that he did overtake.
Yeah, like that was a ride. That I mean, if you've ever ridden at Alton Park, trying to pass 30 people, that's no mean feat. But I think I finished 6th just behind Neil Mackenzie, and I literally was on his back wheel, and one of the proudest races I've ever had in my whole career. Because Neil Mackenzie, when I was growing up as a 10, 20, 11, 12-year-old at Caddo Park, and there was on the Cadbury's Boost, Yamahas and stuff with Whittam and that. Vivid memories of that. And then I was racing around at 19 years old, trying to chase him around. So, yeah, that was the start of my Superbike career, and Birdie gave me an opportunity to show that a 19-year-old, because it was quite unusual for a 19-year-old back then to be riding one of them, that I had the potential to go to World Superbikes, which then GSE, the team that Neil Mackenzie was riding, I took that ride because the team went to World Superbikes. So, yeah, very grateful for Birdie. It was a huge loss.
It's an amazing step into the world of Superbikes to take that step with Paul Bird Motorsport, with Birdie, to become such an iconic figure in the Bennett's British Superbike Championship, but then to move on through to become the youngest ever World Superbike champion, and then to move on to become a double World Superbike champion. The effort and the dedication that it takes to do that, I can't comprehend that as a non-rider, a non-racer, to be able to dedicate yourself to that, to achieve what you have done. What was the biggest thing you learned about yourself in that first championship year, becoming the youngest ever World Superbike champion?
Well, I was lucky to work with great people early. I was lucky to work with Paul Bird in BSB to showcase that I could ride a Superbike competitively at 19. And then even with a broken femur, a massive injury, GSE still took a gamble and took me on to be Neil Hodgson's teammate. And the GSE team with HM Plant sponsorship behind it, Neil Hodgson being so gracious and helpful for a young lad that wasn't quite on his pace at that time. I wasn't a threat to him, so I was able to have discussions with him, and he gave me a lot more than he would have done if I was closer. And in those primitive years, when I was 20 and then 21, finishing 13th and then 7th, it just gave me the tools and the understanding of what I needed to do and work on to become successful at it. And it was those 3 years with that British team as well, which I'm saying British team because that makes a difference as well, because all of the conversations that we're having in the hospitality suites and in the garages, every engineer and every technician was all English, and I was able to understand everything. If I was a 20-year-old joining a foreign team in Italian or Spanish, the electronics engineer's information he was given, the chassis engineer, the tire engineer, if it was all in different language, you're not picking that up. So I was really lucky in World Superbikes when I was a youngster. Everybody spoke English and all the engineers were top notch. And Neil Hodgson was at the top, in the top 3 on the podium on a satellite Ducati that I could learn from, follow. And he let me follow a few times as well in practices and qualifying. Quite sketchy at times. He didn't realise what danger he was in, to be honest, when I was holding my breath. One particular time at Lausitzring he did, because at Lausitzring there was a right and a left at the end of the track. And I was following him. I was on a soft tyre and he was on a race tyre, I think. And I was right behind him. I thought, oh, this is a great lap. Hit the brakes and the front locked behind him. I had to let the brake off, go straight over the chicane, but the chicane went left and then right. So as he's coming right, I'm going straight into the side of him. So I had to then accelerate across the grass to avoid him. And it wasn't quite as bad as the Austrian incident with Valentino Rossi and Zarco. But I went past him. The Bayman's is a second gear or first gear chicane, and I'm coming through in third flat out to avoid him. So you can imagine the shock on his face as this orange Ducati flies through the chicane and onto the start and finish straight. That was the last time he let me follow him. He came into the garage and went, mate, that was so dodgy. I love you, but we're not doing that.
From a career perspective, and this for regular listeners to the podcast who've listened to the Matt Lloyd interview that we did, who was one of your mechanics at the time, and the one we did with Hodgie, how much solace do you take in the fact that you didn't do the firewalk?
Oh God, bloody hell. That's a story. That was a night. Last night I was getting something similar actually, so I'm glad I walked off on that as well. I walked off on this one. We're on safari in South Africa. We'd just ridden, I think we'd just ridden in Kailami, And then the next race was Japan, I think. It was Japan.
At a layover.
And we had a layover, and it was like it was costing more to go back and then back out to Japan. So we thought we'll stay in South Africa, go to a safari for a few days, and then go straight to Japan. We had a barbecue-ish thing going on in the safari, and like the drinking got out of control. And there was an engineer called Skip, Aussie, top bloke, absolutely top bloke. And like I don't know how it developed into one thing that we had was with the food going on. There was an army of ants going down this this wall, right? And I was fascinated by it. I was just watching them kind of. I'd had a couple of drinks, you know, when you just zone out, you know, all the lads were
Ant watching.
yeah. So and Colin Wright's sandwich, right, was just on the table. So I put Colin Wright's sandwich just in the line of these ants, like just to see what would happen, like. And he picks his sandwich up, takes a bite out of it, and that's what kicked off the shenanigans. Because then I don't know how it went from that to then right. I'll tell you what we're doing. We're clearing the barbecue and take the stuff off it. Just ruffle the coals up, right? And now I'm going to take my shoes and socks off.
Mind over matter.
And it's mind over matter. I've seen it on the internet. He said.
Right.
I think he said that. I think that's what the line was.
Exactly what it was.
I've seen it on the internet. It's just mind over matter, JT. I went, Neil, this is a really bad idea. I mean, let's stick to like, you know, stitching people up with some ants on a sandwich. Like this is another level. I said, no, mate, no, watch this. So he rolls his trousers up to about here, like proper, like, you know, like Skegness style.
Yeah.
And he walks across the coals barefoot. Well, the inevitable happened. And he then spends the next 2 hours with his feet dipped in the pool of this safari place, just sat there hating himself, like proper
Good
hating
idea
himself.
at the time.
His soles of his feet, wow, it was horrendous.
Right.
But then, about 10 minutes later, Skip says to Neil Hodgson, "You did it wrong, mate. You did it wrong. This is how you do it. Shoes and socks off." And I'm looking at Skip, and I'm like, Skip, like, what are you going to do then? How's he going to do it? It's just mind over matter. I went, mate, it's more than that. Have you seen his feet? It don't matter what mind you've got going on.
It matters.
The temperature of that on the skin.
He never did it, did he?
He did it.
Oh, no.
So for the next 2 hours, Skip and Neil Hodgson are sat at the pool with the feet dangling in, absolutely hating themselves. And at this point, Colin Wright's having a laugh at the boss, right? It's all funny until we all wake up.
Yeah.
Well, Neil
Can't ride.
Can't ride. He couldn't even walk to the hire car to get to the airport. And then he asked it, can you imagine a flight from Joburg to Japan
Oh, God.
with your soles of your feet like in a mess? And then he goes to Japan and he can only just get his boot on. I think he has a decent ride, but not well enough for Colin Wright to.
And you're all fresh.
He wasn't happy. Colin Wright was not happy.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
It's one of those events that defines a time in a team, and it brings everybody together. And it's bringing in Skip and Matt and yourself and Hodgie and Colin and the rest of the team members together. Frankie Choddy was there at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So to bring everybody together and go, do you know what? This is what we're going to tell our grandkids stories about in years to come.
It was
Because
a fabulous 3 years.
and Hodgie is exactly the same. They've got so much love for you, for Colin Wright, for the time that they had there, because it was the perfect grounding with, for me, one of the greatest team managers that we've ever produced.
Yeah. Now, Colin Wright, he ruled a sturdy ship with an iron fist, and proper Cloughie. Well, how did your arguments go? We have a discussion for half an hour and we just, come to a conclusion that I'm right. That was Colin Wright. But luckily for Colin Wright, 9 times out of 10, he was right, even though it bugged you that he was. And and I was a young lad and Neil was relatively young as well. And it was just a fabulous experience to be coached and mentored. A shout out to Daryl Healy as well. He's put so much of his own money into racing and teams, and still is now with Ollie Bayliss and so Daryl Healy and also John Jones and Kathleen Jones, HM Plant. You don't realise that how expensive it is to go racing, and the people that are behind it funding it, they're the unsung heroes really. So, but just really, really fortunate of the group of lads and lasses in that team. Make or break an ambience in any team, and they were just fabulous people.
I spoke to Ollie Bayliss at Snetterton, and trying to forge a career on his own. Yes, he's a Bayliss, he can't change that, but he wants to be a racer in his own right. And he's making great strides through in the World Supersport Championship and becoming an accomplished racer in himself. And it's great to have that same backing that you had back in the day to help him move forward. And we saw
Tried
him.
and tested, isn't it, Dave?
It is.
Tried and tested.
It works. It's exactly that. Why you wouldn't change a winning formula.
Yeah.
They know what it's all about. They know how to get the best out of the riders. And in return, the riders give the best to them.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street. It has to be.
I'll tell you one thing that not many people know, because it kind of got like lost in all the negotiations. But in 2004, I'd signed again for Darrell and HM Plant, and secretly we were going to be the factory HM Plant Honda team in 2004. It was all done. Everything was decided. I was a little bit apprehensive about going from the Ducatis for 3 years to the Hondas. They were a bit unknown in the championship at that point because it was a bit of a Ducati Cup in 3 and 4 and that. So, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, the championship did a deal with Pirelli to be a one-make tyre in 2004. Honda's relationship with Michelin meant that they pulled out of the championship last minute. So I was contracted to GSE Racing with HM Plant Honda, and all of a sudden they were not going to race in World Superbikes anymore. They were going to race now in British Superbikes on Michelin's with HM Plant Honda. That's why that HM Plant Honda was in BSB, because of Pirelli tyres going to World Superbikes. And the team, Darrell Healy and Colin, they knew that there was a possibility with Neil Hodgson and Rubens House going to MotoGP, that there was an option for me to go to the factory Ducati team, and bless them, they went, James, we're not taking you back to BSB. You go on and carry on your World Superbike career.
That's the relationship in a nutshell.
That's the
isn't it?
people we're talking about. I was signed. They could have took me back to BSB.
Who did they sign?
04.
Rutter and Keogh,
I think it was. Yeah.
I think back then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But then that then propelled you into the factory Ducati team.
I wasn't supposed to be in that team in 04.
You would argue, because I've listened to a couple of your interviews before and we've spoken on numerous occasions, you weren't supposed to win the championship either.
No. It was. Looking back now, what the GSC Racing team provided me with, and then allowed me to carry on, was, I'll be forever grateful for
It
that.
changed the course of your history.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been a world champion. I'd have maybe finished, in the top 3 of BSB. And who knows where your career would have gone then. I would have probably maybe got back to World Superbikes with the talents and all the rest of it, but nothing's guaranteed in this game, is there? I could have crashed at Cadwell again and it would have been all over in 2004 and never seen World Superbikes ever again. But yeah, I was 23 years old in a factory Ducati team, and all of a sudden it was very, very different because in GSE Racing, they'd never won a race until that Germany one in Oschersleben. And that's why HM Plant bought me the piano, because they'd never won a World Superbike race. And when I did, that was the gift, and it was amazing. But in a satellite team, you're not expected to win races or championships regularly, or that wasn't the case at that point. And now I was in a factory Ducati team that had won 1 million championships with 1 million riders. And there's the bike, James, put your number 52s on it, go and do the business. And it was a lot at 23. Especially now, as I was at the side of the garage with a French rider from Grand Prix who'd won a Grand Prix at Valencia on the Yamaha, Regis Liconi, who was very, very experienced and very, very fast, and quite a lot faster than me when I first started that season.
What did you actually think to ride on the 999? Did you mould with it straight away, or did it take a lot of getting used to?
999 was fine, but the 999 on Pirellis, which it had not grown up on, it had not been developed on, it was a very difficult period to marry the tyres with the bike. Yeah. I remember Pier Francesco Chili absolutely hated the combination, and he had his 998 chassis with the 999 engine, and he nearly won the championship with that combo, because the 999 was quite a tricky bike to get right on the Pirellis. But it's just the expectations in a factory team. You win, you're supposed to. You lose, that's not good enough. it's a really difficult one to be in.
From that point of view of arriving in a factory team in World Superbikes with a super experienced teammate, could you allow yourself to be aware of exactly where you were and what you were doing? Or was it constant push, develop and achieve?
Like I say, it's a thankless task in a factory Ducati team. And it's a shame for everybody because that's become the ambience because of their own success. They're victims of their own success, Ducati. They're not able to feel like they've achieved something above and beyond because their product is so good and the team is so good. But I mean, when we won, we celebrated the same way. But unfortunately for the team that year, it went down to the last race in France against the Frenchman, and the French market compared to the UK market is 3 or 4-fold. And my teammate was 5 points or so, 6 points in the lead of me going into the last race. And Ducati had to make a decision who they thought was going to win the championship. But more importantly, they would have preferred Regis to win the championship because it was better for them financially. And it's a business, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is.
And he'd just done the double at Imola the round before. I was close to him, but he did the double on me. And it was going into France, and the team, can you imagine how many weeks it takes to do all the posters, all of the advertisements, all of the PR that has to go out Sunday night?
Yeah.
The number ones with all the numbers in them, and the photography, everything has to be planned to. You don't cross the line on Sunday afternoon, and then the PR man and the team go, oh, we better get something sorted then.
This is very reminiscent of Wembley and the cup final. The losers' ribbons are never seen.
Yeah.
So there is a box on your side of the garage. There is a box on Regis's side of the garage with number 1 T-shirts. One of them gets pushed straight back into the truck, and they're there for polishing cars, never to be seen the light of day.
Oh, they didn't even do my T-shirt.
Didn't they do your T-shirts? Really?
They didn't even, and they only had 2 number 1s with a 52 in, so we could only photograph the bike on one side.
It fascinates me because to quote you from one of your interviews, that was Regis Laconi's championship to lose, not yours to win.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Which is gracious.
No, do you know what? I'm not the greatest motorcycle racer ever. I'm not the best piano player ever. I'm not the best singer ever. But I'm one of the best at trying my best. And on Sunday afternoon at Magny-Cours, unfortunately for Regis, 2 rounds before, I'd blown up my engine at Assen in the morning, and my engine specs had finished. And my engineer was one of the guys that built the engines in the factory. And he says, James, you're going to feel a difference this afternoon because the engines that you're going to get, you're going to feel a difference. He couldn't say too much. And he put the other engine in, replacement engine in, and we had to change the rear shock because of the horsepower difference. And all of a sudden, winning was easier. And then I realized from that situation that, maybe one half was a little bit more supportive than the other half. And if my engine hadn't have blown up in Assen and they hadn't have had to have changed it with another one, it gave me the belief that I could battle and beat him because I had the tools to beat him.
Parity, at last.
Yeah, and Imola, and I pushed him around Imola. And Magny-Cours was like, oh, Assen's like, oh, I won at Assen. I nearly did the double at Assen with the engine. And then I went to Imola and pushed him to the line. And Magny-Cours, so with that engine blown, it gave me the confidence and belief that no, I can and I will go for this, and I'm not leaving Magny-Cours without it. And that's what happened behind the scenes. But the first 3 quarters of that season, Regis was pretty difficult to beat. He really was. He had just as much riding talents as me that particular year, and I'll be forever that world champion that year. But I think I won it by 2 points. and Norihaga and all the rest of them that never were able to be classed as a world champion. They deserved to be a world champion just as much as I ever did. The stars just aligned for me at the right time, and I took the chance.
You must have really pushed Ducati sales as well, because when the 999 first came out, no one really liked it. They'd gone from the Tamburini shape to the 999. A bit like when Porsche went from the 993 to the 996. People just didn't like it. It was a bit of an ugly duckling. And I think obviously doing what you managed to achieve, you must have really pushed the sales, and the limited edition feeler they did, it was just stunning. They really are.
Yeah.
So yeah, you must have really pushed.
No, it was. But the problem is with me winning the championship, selling bikes in the UK,
Yeah.
we're still a far cry from Regis winning it and selling them in France.
Gotcha.
That was the issue for Ducati. But so Sunday night was mute. You know, we couldn't have a massive celebration, obviously, because there was always going to be one loser. And Regis was so gracious in defeat in the end. And his family were lovely, his mum and dad. They all came up and hugged me and congratulated me. But 2004, with what happened, the engine situation was just a 23-year-old lad figuring it out, honing his craft, and with the right engine, realizing I could be the best. And when you've got a certain amount of talent, working with great people, and when you walk out of that garage knowing that bike can fulfill your dreams, it's a powerful combo.
There always comes a point in a rider's career where they need validation of their talent, but so much needs to align for that we speak about this on the podcast so often. There are so many variables to even getting a motorcycle racing career, let alone qualifying on pole, winning a race, to winning a championship. That has the most amount of variables that we could have. And it's fascinating that you can sit there and go, that the switch is flicked. This is it. I can be a contender. I am the champion. This is my destiny complete for this year. What's next?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. As a professional sportsman or sportswoman, to keep the belief when it's so difficult to. When you're moving up the ladder, you go from county level to national level to world level, and I got promoted in '97 up to World Championships into World Supersport. Castrol Honda were just starting a new team. I was 17 years old, and I'd beaten the best of the British in Supersport and CB500s, and at 16 years old, which was unusual. So I was unusual talent that got propelled up into the world after 6 months of success, basically. That was all. I mean, I was a junior champion, but but that was it. 6 months on a big bike to prove that I was able to go to world level. I went to Donington Park at the first round, crashed at McLean's. That was that. Went to round 2 in Monza. I crashed on Friday and broke both my ankles when the bike landed on my legs. And on Saturday, I lost my teammate. And I was like, crikey, okay, this is not what I thought it was. And on my return at Misano, I didn't qualify.
Remember?
I didn't qualify. I was watching the race on the pit lane in Castrol Honda gear as well. You'd got Aaron Slight and John Kaczynski, Aaron Slight and Colin Edwards on the podium in Superbikes, and I was in Castrol Honda gear at the side of the track, not qualifying for the race, outside the 7%. And like, there's moments like that where I was 17 years old. I'd lost my teammate, and my mum didn't want. Mum didn't want to do it anyway. But after that was horrendous, obviously. And I went all the way to Italy to fly back because I couldn't even ride because I wasn't fast enough to even qualify for the race. It's moments like that when you get home and you look yourself in the menu, you go, nah, this ain't it. This ain't it. This can't be it. And like the fight and the fire within you to absolutely refuse that you are going to fail at something. But it's risky. It's like boxers. At least with motorcycle racing, you've got 13, you've got one each weekend or one every other weekend. You can have another go and you can get that confidence back. You just follow someone, brings you back up to that confidence level again, brings you back up to that pace again. And then that muscle memory comes back that you used to have, that you can go around a track at a certain speed. But with boxing, like, we've got a big fight tonight with Jabara and everything, and Usyk. Like, both of them It was last night, so wasn't it? Both of them, they both are absolutely convinced they're going to win. Absolutely convinced they're going to win, because you have to be 100% sure you're going to do it. But tomorrow morning or this morning, whatever, after the fight's finished, you're going to wake up a loser or a winner. And it's when you lose is when you see the maketh of the man, because you got to get out of bed and refuse to let that be it, and that's all you're going to be. And that's what I'm, personally, one of the things I'm most proud of going from not qualifying in Misano when I was 17 to being a double world champ, because that took a lot of, I don't know what ignorance, I think.
But that's full sink or swim, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it could be leveled that there was too much too soon.
Yep.
For a young rider with inexperience in the world of motorcycle racing, coming into it at the level that you did and the pace that you did, to then be out there and losing Michael Paquet, and it just, all of a sudden you're like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
What's just happened?
Yeah.
And then you either go, well, this isn't for me, or this is for me.
Yeah.
I'm having this, and I'm having it on my terms.
Yeah. No, and thank you for remembering his name, Michael. That's very nice of you that you've done that, because it was a long time ago, and he was a lovely lad from Belgium. But I was really lucky in life. I think that the most precious thing we can do with kids is introduce them to things that they are absolutely passionate about, that they want to just do it every single day. And it doesn't matter what it is: football, golf, tennis, motorcycle racing. Just introduce your kids to something that they absolutely adore. And motorcycle racing was, and even in those times that were awful, there was only one thing that I wanted to do, and that was ride and try and be the best. But I don't know what it is in some people. Even when I didn't qualify, like, I still watched Paolo Casali and all those amazing riders at the front, Rubens House back then, and the world champions, Ibugay, Pirovano, amazing riders. I used to watch them and go, I can do that. I used to watch them ride, and I can do it. In fact, a couple of days ago, I saw Neil Hodgson in the comms box with Michael Laverty watching Mark Marquez, and he said, I watch him, and I still think I can do it. And he says, I don't know if I should say it out loud. And me and Mike, I was sitting at home, and I was thinking, you shouldn't say it out loud. You shouldn't say it out loud. But we do. There's an innate thing in competitors that you still watch, and Fogg is one of the worst, not worst, but best at it.
Yeah.
Best.
I can still do that.
Not worse, he's best at it. I will absolutely murder you on the track. And even now, I'm not going to, but if I wanted to.
I would if I can, if I can't. It's as simple as that. I don't mind, but just know that I can. Yeah, I don't want to.
Absolutely.
But I can if I want to, but I don't.
And that's why Carl was so good. And that's why the greats are so good. It's not. Sometimes it's not an overly likable personality trait in people.
But I think you have to be an element of that as a motorcycle racer, because yes, it's a team sport, but as you're out on the grid and the visor comes down, you're an individual against 30 other individuals, both going for that top step. And if you can't get the top step, you want the second step. Yeah. You're not settling for the third step or fourth place. You want the glory that comes with it, because at some point, that all stops. Yeah. Yeah. Whether it's by design,
or by the checker flag.
Exactly that. Yeah. So when we bring it back to 2007, to the Handspray 10 car Honda that we brought into the Mullsdale Foundation Museum here at Bishopbriggs, how did that whole story come about? James, we'll go to you with that one. How did the bike end up
here?
Very
large customer base, and obviously we thought to ourselves, right, where's the best place for the bike to be? And we just knew the museum here was the best place for the bike to be on show, 110%. And the sad thing for us as well, we sell a lot of bikes abroad, which I don't like that, because I never get to see them again. And obviously with your bike, for it to be here and stay in the UK and you can see it and it's always on display and people can get the enjoyment from it, it's just the best place for it to be. So naturally, this is where it belongs.
I'm looking forward to the unveiling of it later on with David Molsdale. I was watching you yesterday with the bike, and we took the covers off and we did a few shots with it yesterday, and you just walked up and you just gave her a little touch because she means so much to you. What's the greatest memory that comes back to you when you see the bike?
Brands Hatch, by far.
Tell me about that weekend.
I was going there with a comfortable lead of the championship.
Is that your favourite circuit?
Only because of the memories.
Right, okay.
I think if any rider rides really fast around there, does like sub 25s around Brands Hatch, it's not a place you overly enjoy because it gets a bit sketchy when you're doing sub 25s. But after you're finished, it's just a roller coaster of a ride. But it's one of them where you think, I'm glad I got away with that again, you know, because it is like that. But that's why Brands Hatch is amazing. But the most amazing thing about Brands Hatch is the natural amphitheatre. There's not another track where you come out of the left-hander into the auditorium area. It's Clearway's last corner. Out of there, and you come through the trees and there's a bridge. And as soon as you come through the trees and the bridge, you hear the crowd. And when you're in the wooded area, there's nothing. And it's not a bad thing, actually, because you won't want anybody distracting you through that bit. Because Dingledale and all the rest of it, you don't want any distractions. But when you come out into that last corner and into that dip, and as you go into the dip, you go even closer to the crowd. And it was a bit of an era of, you used to have air horns quite a lot. And you came in, and every time silence into a stadium.
Wow.
So it was the only time I think that I ever rode where I rode within a football stadium environment. And because there was 126,000 people that weekend, and there was, you know, there was
amount of people.
because it was me against Bayliss. Bayliss qualified on pole. Bayliss in the pre-weekend press conference, because I beat him at Phillip Island at the round one, and that did not go down well. No, that didn't go down well. And he said, "I'm here to spoil James's party."
Right.
That's what he said out loud in his press conference. And he qualified on pole, and I could tell he'd got the bit between his teeth because of Phillip Island. I thought, this is going to be awful trying to beat him this weekend. And but I knew consistently the bike was handling well, and I knew we were riding well. And but then, you know, everybody found out that I played the piano obviously as well, and they said, "Would you play the national anthem after the warm up?" I'm like, hang on a second. If I get up there on that keyboard and then even finish second, people will be like, bloody hell, he wants to concentrate on his racing, that lad.
Yeah.
You know, if he hadn't played, he'd have won that. Can you imagine if I'd have crashed? Oh, why didn't he concentrate, play the national anthem and messing about? Crashed, he's like risking the championship now. All of these things are going through my head before I said yes to that. But once again, Misano not qualifying, I was like, nah, I can do that. No worries at all. In my leathers, God save the Queen, bless her, back then. Rattled that off. And then I also had I got the team to put a spare set of leathers behind the podium, right? Because let's put them there, because I'm winning this next one. I'm going to wang my leathers into the crowd.
Brilliant.
Right? And I'm going to need a set. I'm going to need a set for the podium. Like
the confidence.
And this is how life was. This is how life is when you're rocking and rolling. You're working with some amazing people, and you're on an amazing bike, and things just roll downhill, don't they? Sometimes in life, and you can even risk doing all the rest of it. And that Brands Hatch, the double, my only ever double in World Superbikes, my last ever win in World Superbikes was on this bike, and I'm really, really pleased now that I didn't know this until I came up here and saw this museum. The best thing about this situation is she's going to be on show, and people are going to talk about her, and she deserves that.
Yeah.
And I don't have much racing stuff in my house, because the darker side of racing that we've discussed with losing my teammate and my cousin and many other greats, and you know, my personal story as well with the guy that started me, he's not here either, and it's not very easy for me to look at racing and just concentrate on these wonderful stories, because what fueled all of the success wasn't wonderful. So I really I have a bit of an issue with when I looked at the bike at home. I never could talk about these 126,000 cheering fans winning, and it was a whole other part of the history. So being here is a better situation for me. I've just got my piano in that room now, and it's just a music room, which is my little haven. And for her to be here in this environment, it's the right place for both things to be.
It's an incredible collection as well. It really is mind blowing. Every time I walk around, I've missed something. It's like, oh, I never saw that earlier. And you know, to be part of building this collection is just absolute. It's a dream. It's incredible.
Every time I walk in, this is the second time that I've been. I came up to see Jez, who we've got to say a massive thank you for putting this together with yourselves, with Jez Murray, to come in here the first time and to see that the rally burners, the skyways, the grifters,
It's passion.
Everything is built on passion.
Yeah.
Your business is built on passion. Your career is built on passion. This podcast is built on passion. This is why we do what we do.
That's right.
And it's an amazing way to take things forward, I feel. And as you say, there is no better place for it. I know the darker side of racing, and it's not a road I want to go down, because we've spoken about it before. You've spoken about it through other media. It's not been the easiest journey for you to be at this point now, but to have the confidence and to have the knowledge and awareness of where you are now for what you've been through, those days seem a lot further behind you than they used to be. Is that fair?
It is there, yeah. Life molds us, doesn't it? We don't get a choice as kids what environment that we get born into, and we just have to make the best of it. I had amazing family and amazing grandparents, and you know, my grand taught me the piano, and that was a wonderful thing that I was gifted.
At what age?
I was making a noise at about 5, 6.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I moved in with my grandparents, with mom, and about 3, 4 years old. So then I was making a noise, and it's one of them where my personality was fueled by grief and bereavement at a young age, at 15, 16 years old, which then motorcycle racing was the greatest outlet and therapy. The most amazing thing about riding motorcycles for everybody is the beautiful escape. Escapism
110%.
that you get from it. I think that's the biggest appeal.
There's no feel like it
about riding a motorcycle, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And when you have to win races on them, like if you're struggling with life, you do a sub 25 round Brands Hatch, and you're fine.
Minutes, are we talking? At my level.
Even that might be right now.
My greatest achievement is a sub 2 minute around Donington Park. That is my sole greatest achievement on a motorcycle.
And psychologically, you're fine, aren't you, for those 2-3 days?
I can sleep easy at night knowing I can do that.
When you get off, you're like, you're buzzing.
It's just great.
It's brilliant.
It's one of the most natural highs that you can ever get riding motorcycles, and I am forever grateful I was introduced to it. It was a difficult molding of a psychological thing for me, of the fuel that I used to be as good as I was at it, which was not so easy to dial out once I didn't have the opportunity to do it. But without it, I don't think I would have been as successful. So I have to get into that uncomfortable area of being grateful for it. But you can't be grateful for people's misfortune. It's a real dichotomy, isn't it? I can't be thankful for the deaths of my grandpa and Ken. I can't, that's just not comfortable with me. But without them, I wouldn't be who I was.
It's not a feeling of gratitude. It's taking the energy that they gave you and taking their legacy with you for putting. Is how it feels for me. Is of what Grandma and Granddad did, what Ken did for you to set you on the road to where you're going. That is all the fuel you needed. to be able to do what you did, and you channeled it beautifully. I'm a big believer in, as far as the saying goes, that the windscreen on a car is the size it is, and the rear view mirror is the size it is, because we ain't going that way.
Oh, that's cool. I like
We're
that.
going that way, and that's why you need the bigger picture on the way forward, and that fits in beautifully
That's great.
with the legacy from Gran and Grandad and from Ken.
Yeah, it is, because unfortunately, people aren't fortunate enough to have an outlet for life's difficulties. I did, and I made the most of it, and I was as successful as I was with the tools that I had. And I can't tell you how grateful I am of the life it provided me with, and the stories I've got. And the biggest thing that I got from it was to be respected. Motorcycle races, because it is dangerous and because it is what it is, we're lucky that the fans, they respect the riders so much for what they do, and having people's respect in life, I think, is one of the true gifts.
Massively. And you obviously, the Easter egg run, what you do as well. I mean, you had 1,000 bikes this year, or was it just under 1,000?
877.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And you do it every year, rain, shine, or snow.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to David last night as we met for the first time, and we hit it off massively because of the charity work. And yeah, I've been a patron for Sheffield Children's Hospital for 23 years. And for 23 years, I've done the Easter egg run without fail. I've not missed it, rain, snow, or shine. Luckily, with the climate change, it's getting a little bit warmer in March, April. But yeah, we just surpassed the £100,000 mark that it's generated over the years. And that, without racing, you've got to find something else. And what I realized after 10 years, you can't replace it. So trying not to replace it is beneficial. It's just trying to keep yourself busy and trying to get fulfillment of something. And I have to thank the Sheffield Children's Hospital and the brave children and families in there, because they've given me such a purpose to help such an important
Definitely something
scheme.
we're very proud of, which
100%.
you are.
Yeah. Because it's so important to help Sheffield Children's Hospital to be the best it can be, to provide the best care and help and save lives for those kids in there. It's been a real privilege. I know I do a lot for them, but they've helped me a lot with the focus that it's given me to do.
It's a two-way street, and it takes us in nice now. We're getting the wind-up signal from behind the cameras, because but we've got a few questions from our patrons who support the podcast every month with contributions. We always put the guest out early. Have you got questions for James Toseland? And I don't vet these before they come out. These come straight off the bat. Sometimes the bat's nice and straight. Sometimes it's a big wild swing in the dark. So I make no apologies for our fantastic patrons.
You're going to blame them?
Absolutely. I just write them and put them down under somebody else's name. It's like, well, if I need to ask him this, whose name can I put it under? I know they're great. Our patrons are fantastic, and they really engage with the guests that we have on. So both of you, thank you very much. Absolutely fantastic.
Loved it.
The first one is from Chris Turner. What was your biggest strength as a racer, and the one area that you thought was your weakness?
Biggest strength was probably my focus and fitness. I was able to ride a motorcycle without the electronics, with a lot of horsepower, from the first lap to the last lap, and do a very similar lap time. And that's one of the keys to being a race winner and a championship winner, is the consistency is king. And to focus and have the concentration on the last lap requires fitness and health. So that was probably my biggest plus. Biggest weakness?
You haven't got any. That's what I was expecting you to say.
No.
Modest.
The list is like that. Biggest weakness? I don't think I was the most naturally gifted motorcycle racer, because I wasn't born into a family of racers. I didn't have that early tuition. I was a rough diamond with that. I was just really brave, so I think there were areas where I made mistakes, fell off in places where I wouldn't have done with a bit more talent. As Stoner used to say to Valentino Rossi, my bravery outweighed my talent at one point, a few times.
Full send.
Yeah. But if he'd have said it to me, it'd have been true. They picked the wrong kid to pick on.
Oh, Chris goes on to say he loves your commentary and the insights that you give on World Superbike. He says, thank you very much for that. From Craig Lowe, how have you coped with your time so far in commentary and the public social media comment on you and your skills? We spoke about this yesterday. It's a really divisive subject amongst race fans, is race commentary. How do you deal with it?
I can only portray the passion that I have for this job, and I can only come across to people. Not in vision is a big thing. They are starting to put cameras in the comms booth to show the level of concentration, passion, and delivery and skill set it takes to commentate. And it's helping. As time goes on, to have an opinion on people is never comfortable, because it's not all good, is it? And there are crashes and there are mistakes that I have to comment on. And obviously, if you're a fan of that particular rider, it's not something that you want to hear when someone criticizes a possible mistake. But mistakes are made, and it's taken me a while to settle into this new role, because it's not something I wanted to do at first, because I wanted to ride. I didn't want to talk about it. I wanted to do it. But I've realized now, after I'm wrong side of 40, that it's a job I really do appreciate and I do enjoy, because I still feel a part of the race with commentary, and I can add to the excitement of the show. Like I did as a rider, I can now increase the enjoyment level for people if I really put a shift in. But it's art. Racing's easy. If I finish first, everybody loves it. If I finish 10th, there's not many people love it. Simple. Commentary, piano playing, music, it's subjective, and it's horrible because of that. But as long as people realize it's coming from a true, honest place with a lot of experience, and what I say hopefully will have some substance of it being backed up, even though it's not something that you want to hear at that point in time, it comes with only passion and love.
I would expect nothing less. What do you want to see the future of World Superbike become, and what do you feel it will end up becoming?
That's a really good question, because we're in such a changeable time when it comes to what we're going to be manufacturing in the next 10, 20 years. I hope everything's not going to become electrified. I really hope that that's not the case.
No electrics.
I really hope, because I don't know. Do you know someone that's gone to see AC/DC acoustic?
No.
Have you?
No.
There's a reason for that. We love noise, don't we?
Yeah.
We love noise on a certain level.
Somebody write that down. I'm going to use that again. It's the perfect thing.
There's a reason for it.
Yeah.
And there's a certain environment and a kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
Feeling?
A feeling, yeah. But experience. Noise gives us an experience.
Definitely.
And when you go to see a MotoGP race or a World Superbike race, and you've got 30 bikes rattling off a 16,000 revs per minute limiter as they dump the clutch, well, I'll defy anybody not to be in awe.
Yeah, of course.
And
then listening to 30 Hoovers.
Yeah.
A bike flew past me the other day and it was electric, and I went, God, it was almost dangerous.
It doesn't do anything for you, does it?
It doesn't do anything for
World
me.
Superbike last weekend, watching Top Rack into turn one, the engine overrun and the noise that the BMW makes, it is one of those points where you just go, ooh.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I respect the technology. It's incredible.
I have no issue with that, but it's just not for me.
Yeah. There's a place for it.
Being, behind the screen and having a full song, it's just...
There's a place for it, but when
the noise is incredible.
When it comes to World Superbikes and the show of World Superbikes and MotoGP, we need the noise.
Yeah, of
100%.
We definitely need the combustion noise, the smells, and everything that brings. So there is technology out there that with these e-fuels and all the rest of it, that they don't burn the CO2s off, because we are against the grain on looking after the planet, this show. So we have to do something to try and look like we're helping along the way. But, what legislations governments are going to bring in to force manufacturers to manufacture a certain thing, we got no part of that.
No.
But I was doing a talk for the FIM not long ago in Belgium, and the people that write the policies and stuff were there from the governments in different countries, and I said, please don't just think about CO2s. You got to think about people's lives and livelihoods and psychological things as well. Motorcycle racing and the family that that we have here helps a lot of people in so many different ways. And I left it with that, you know, so many jobs, so many lives that can be changed by motorcycle racing. And I think if we can keep it a separate thing, even if manufacturers have to manufacture just, you know, electrification and all the rest of it. But the problem with superbikes, what you manufacture, we race to promote, to sell. That's the format of superbikes. That's what it was always originally about. You win on Sunday, you sell on Monday, wasn't it? That's what it used to be.
Which it isn't so much now, unfortunately. But do you see potential of going next gen Supersport, R9s, Triumphs, Aprilia, and bringing the capacity down a little bit, because the R1 is coming towards the end of its development. The ZX10 certainly is. So we're either going to end up with a field full of BMWs and Ducatis, or open it to the manufacturers like the R9 and the manufacturers that are bringing in new. Dear Honda, please bring back a V4 750.
Yeah.
You've got all the drawings, you know how it works.
Yep.
Bring one back.
Yep.
And then you can go racing against the R9.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these things, obviously, with the emissions thing, the 5+ that's coming now. Obviously, the manufacturers are building engines because they're going from 4 cylinders to 3 cylinders for the emissions, so they can sell them in different countries still. It's the emissions thing that's one of the biggest things. Well, there's other things in the 5+ that you have to get right, isn't there, for manufacturers to build bikes that they can sell. But if World Superbikes is 754s and 1000cc twins, okay, that's not a big problem for us. Right? Remember in 1998 with Colin Edwards, Aaron Slight, and Pier Francesco Keeley, and
It's
Norrie
exactly
Harker,
my point.
You know,
Yeah.
how popular was it then?
It's Back to the Future, isn't
That's
it?
what they were back then.
Yeah, 100%.
If we've got great bikes, 750, 1000cc, whatever, as long as the show's good and we've got showman, light top rack in there, Superbikes will be a healthy place. And fingers crossed, policies and governments will allow manufacturers to still manufacture bikes that we can showcase in the Superbike Championship.
Agreed completely. Craig, thank you for that. From Maggie Day, thank you for your knowledge, James. And will you be bringing out some more of your fabulous music?
Well, today I'm playing. I've not performed since last winter. We did a bit of an acoustic set, but it was about 5 or 6 years since I performed with the band because I had 10 operations on the wrist now, which has been a journey, as you can imagine, the recoveries from that. So I can now play on some level. I haven't got any movement from the sides with the wrist, so that's difficult to play like I used to, but I can play well enough to perform now. So I'm hoping that the third album, hopefully in the near future, will be coming.
Wonderful. Thank you, Maggie. Mick Strickland, with 2 from Mick. James, thank you for your amazing years of racing, giving us Yorkshire folk plenty to shout about. You're an amazing rider across all the domestic and international series in which you race, and were phenomenally supported worldwide. Thank you. When you finished racing and needed to recover from your arm injury, what did you do to get over the psychological impacts until you eventually found a surgeon who could fix the issue and finally give you your life back?
Cool. Well, first of all, thanks for the message before, but that one, that has been the most difficult journey that I've been on for the last 12 years. 12 years and 10 operations on my dominant hand that took my career away in a crash in Aragon in 2011. And the problem with the injury was I've not been able to recover from the loss of my career easily because the operations and the pain and discomfort and medication, it's a constant reminder of that day because I'm still struggling with the issues and the fallout from that day. And it's had some really, really, really dark times. Obviously, was probably one of the reasons why the marriage ended. It was I was at an absolute loss, and when you feel at an absolute loss with medication and I couldn't even brush my teeth for 2 years, so I'd gone from winning the world and being the best in the world at something to not even being able to wash my hair with 2 arms and not brush my teeth with and it was too far back. So I'm sure everybody can relate when you get that far down in a rabbit hole, you push everything away and you have a full reset, like a full factory reset and go, okay, right, everything needs to now go away. I now need to just get myself better and heal. And I did, but it's a shame. It's a shame what the fallout was from all those years in operations and the difficult times, the collateral damage from all of that. But I'm sat here today. I'm 45 in a couple of months, and luckily the surgeon in America has just given me this amount of movement back, which has allowed me to play again, not being too much discomfort again, and I'm able to now look up and make good of my life, rather than just being in a desperate state of chronic pain, because chronic pain, it rules you.
It's a great place to end it. James, thank you for joining us at the Mullsdale Foundation Museum here up in Bishopbriggs in Glasgow.
Pleasure.
It's great to see you up here. We're going to see you play some music later on. We're going to unveil the bike with David Mullsdale upstairs. James, thank you to you as well for coming along, mate. It's great to see you up here. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, James Toseland, James Holland. We'll catch you next time.